Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel. And in this video we are returning to the in-depth series where I go into great detail about specific units in an army, mainly Tzeentch and Tzeentch Daemons, or Codex Daemons, whichever you want to call it, which has been my main focus for most of this year. So I really want to wrap up and get all of these units covered at some point this year. But this particular video we are going to focus on the Flamers of Tzeentch, the Demon Flamers. One of my go-to units I've been running in my army for a number of games now, with a great success, it has to be said. So we're going to cover all of the details on that, how best to use them, how best to counter them, why you should take them, and perhaps why you shouldn't take them. But we'll cover that in depth in this video, so let's get straight into it. So these are the guys we're talking about, the Flamers. Now, Flamers come as a unit of 3, which is 2 Flamers and a character or a unit upgrade, which is the Pyrocaster, which basically means there's a dude there with an extra attack. And for those 3 dudes, that's going to cost you a power level of 4, but you include up to 3 additional Flamers for another +4 power rating, or up to 6 additional Flamers for a power rating of +8. As you can see, therefore, my little unit of 9 here is the maximum you can take and will cost you 12 in the power rating. These guys fit in the elites slot within your force organisation, but let's run through their statistics. So a regular Flamer has a move of 12 inches, weapon skill of 5+, ballistic skill 3+, strength of 4, toughness of 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, a leadership of 7, and a pitiful demon save of 6+. The Pyrocaster, as I mentioned, just exactly the same as that, but he comes with 3 attacks. They all come armed with Flickering Flames, which is a 12-inch range, pistol D6, strength of user AP -1, damage 1, auto hitting weapon. Note the emphasis on 12 inches there. The abilities then are Demonic Ephemeral Form and Demonic Ritual, faction keywords of Chaos, Tzeentch and Demon, with standard keywords of Infantry, Fly and Flamers. Flamers are going to cost you 28 points a model, so that unit of 9 is going to cost me 252. And a unit of 3 is going to cost you a bare minimum of 84 points to fill out a elite slot within your detachment. Those points include the Flickering Flame weapons they come equipped with, so you haven't got to worry about adding any extra points for match play. So what makes them so good to start with then is the fact that they're demonic with Ephemeral Form, which means they're automatically getting a 4+ in a vulnerable save with 2 wounds. And the fact they can also move 12 inches is pretty rapid with that 12-inch range weapon as well. So an effective range of 24. Note that those weapons are not assault weapons, they are pistols, so you cannot advance and shoot. Note they have the fly keyword, which I did mention a little bit earlier, which means that they can ignore terrain and enemy models during that movement phase now, not during any other phases as clarified in FAQ 2.0. So they can ignore pretty much anything and get to where they need to do, all with a pretty good 4+ invulnerable save. That 2 wounds and a 4+ is effectively a good combination. And the weapon they come with is pretty devastating as is. But you know me, in this episode of In Depth, I like to take a good unit, which on paper is probably a little bit expensive at 28 points. But how do we make that much, much better? That's what these in-depth series is all about. So let's discuss that now. First then, we can talk about characters that can buff your demons. Now this can apply to either the Changecaster, Fate Skimmer or Flux Master, which is basically the Herald either on foot, disc or on a chariot. The big one we're looking for here is the Locus of Tzeentch, where you can add 1 to the strength characteristic of all Tzeentch demon units within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly models with that ability. Now that combination isn't actually super effective as you might think, because it can affect other demons a little bit better, because the strength of the Flickering Flames is still as per user. What this would do is just buff your core strength, your base strength to 5 when you get into melee, but you don't really want to be there because your weapon skill of 5+ sucks. So what other characters can benefit this? Either Kairos or the Lord of Change can help out here, because they can use his leadership if you're within 6 inches of those greater demons. But, you know, that's nothing to write home about. Those models are exceptionally expensive. The other option is the Changeling. What he can do for you at a far more cost-effective price than the larger greater demons is Locus of Transmogrification, which means you in effect get a feel no pain roll of a 6+, for any time a Tzeentch Daemon within 9 inches of the changeling loses a wound. So that can impact any kind of save. So in effect, you're going to get a save against mortal wounds, which is what you're really looking for with that. In order to keep up with flamers like this, I personally would recommend, if you're going to run a herald nearby them, for reasons I'll explain in a second, and the one on the disc is a little bit better. He can keep up with them rather than being left behind on foot. But why we really need someone like that nearby is for psychic powers. There are a number of psychic powers in the Tzeentch list, from Boon of Change, Bolt of Change, Gaze of Fate, Treason of Tzeentch, Flickering Flames, and Infernal Gateway. The ones that I am going to highly recommend are Boon of Change and Flickering Flames, specifically Flickering Flames. Boon of Change is a little bit random. You can gain +1 attack, +1 strength, or +1 iron skin, or +1 toughness on a charge value of 7, which is okay. I'd go for the toughness if you can try and pull that one off. Toughness 5 is so much immeasurably better than toughness 4. But Flickering Flames is what you're looking for. It's only a warp charge of 5, and you have an 18-inch range from your Psyker, so you could be quite far away from this guy to get this power off. Why is Flickering Flames the best one, I hear you ask? And that is because you can add 1 to any wound rolls made for that unit's shooting weapons. Now, okay, you're a base strength of 4, but you are rolling 9d6 shots that auto hit from this unit. And against your average of toughness 4, you're going to be wounding on 3s with Flickering Flames. And you're only going to be wounding on 4s against toughness 5, which is few and far between. We're talking biker units really that have toughness 5, right? So if you can wound them on a 50-50 with 9d6, you're going to be erasing units. But let's not ignore the possibility of Boon of Change giving you that +1 strength, which means your flamers are now strength 5 as well. Strength 5 against toughness 4, you're wounding on 3s. With Flickering Flames combined, you could be wounding a lot of stuff on a 2+. Auto hitting, wounding on 2+ is phenomenal in 40k 8th edition. And both of those powers are reasonably priced, really. So Flickering Flames at warp charge of 5 is utterly awesome when applied to these guys. So what are the key stratagems for this unit then? For 1 command point, Denizens of the Warp is the go-to option here. Now, why is Denizens of the Warp the go-to option? Remember, I emphasised the 12-inch range. Well, Denizens of the Warp allows you to deep strike a unit 9 inches away, and suddenly you've now got auto-hitting weapons with a range of 12. Here's a nice little example here. I've got 2, I think they're Ruststalkers, I think they are, from my Skitarii forces there, my AdMech. And as you can see, you deep strike them in, untouched. They can't have been shot off the board. I mean, they have to arrive from turn 2 now, as per the new FAQ. But you're going to arrive untouched on the battlefield with 12-inch range weapons, which of course you can split fire if there are multiple enemy targets to be had there. You know, don't underestimate 3d6 auto hitting against a squad of Imperial Guard. That will erase a squad at a time. So if you've got a gun line of Tau or Imperial Guard, anything else that's squishy that you can find a suitable space to deep strike into, this is the one for you. Don't forget though that if you're using a unit that's greater than a power rating of 9, it's going to cost you 2 command points, not 1 command point. So this full unit of 9 that I'm using here will cost you that extra command point. But don't also forget that these guys are demonic, so they can be summoned as well by one of your characters in a similar kind of fashion. Don't forget here, I've just added that little herald into there. Don't forget that this Denizens of the Warp can be used multiple times, as it's a pre-game and deployment thing. So for 1 extra command point, you can drop your herald down there to make sure that you've got that psychic power buff that you can give with the Flickering Flames ability, which is something if you're going to be facing a backline of slightly toughened units, you might want to do that. You might think 3 command points up front is a heavy investment in command points, but don't forget demons. You can easily generate a load of command points by spamming Brimstone Horrors and easily getting lots of battalions into your forces. Now, 9d6, let's take a closer look at that. That is 9 lots of dice. That's going to be averaging you around about 30 to 31 auto hits, right? So 2d6 average is 7. You've got 4 lots of that, so that's 28 plus a single dice. You're going to be, you know, pushing out around 30, 31 auto hits when these guys land. That makes them utterly disgusting, and especially if you can get Flickering Flames off as well for that +1 to wound. Yeah, you're going to be making some people's nightmares come true with your demonic incursion into their back lines. Now remember, if you're facing those gun lines, those tower gun lines, those guys are only toughness 3, so you will be wounding them on a 2. So that's pretty much my summary of how best to use these guys. That is to deep strike and make a mess of people's day. And don't forget that people are not going to want to charge you, right? These weapons auto hit just like flamer weapons. Anyone charging you is going to face 9d6 worth of auto hitting AP -1 1 damage weapons, and that's going to ruin anyone's day. So they're a great area denial weapon if you land on an objective as well. No one's really going to want to charge you. So how best do you defeat these? As with any other demon, just spam it with low value fire, and eventually that 50-50 save will give way, and hopefully they'll start failing some morale and start disappearing. That is your best bet. Don't overcompensate. Don't put in too much big firepower. Those 4+ will annoy you if you fire las cannons or melter weapons at them. Just spam them with your cheapest firepower you've got until they whittle away, but do not charge them. One final unit combination recommendation is a Demon Prince as well. So not only is he a psyker, he's also going to offer you that close combat support that you're going to need should your Tzeentch demons run into some trouble. But additionally, they're also going to protect him. No one's going to want to charge your Demon Prince if he's surrounded by these auto-hitting nasty little gribblies. And he's also going to be able to do anything that the Flux Masters and co are going to be able to do. So this guy can generate the same psychic powers and give those guys a buff. So if you're looking to try and double up on those psychic powers, don't forget Magical Boon as well for an extra command point, which allows your psyker, or your Tzeentch Demon psyker, to immediately attempt a second psychic power, an additional power. Heralds and Demon Princes only can cast 1 or deny 1 per turn, so being able to cast an extra one for that command point can be pretty beneficial if you're trying to stack some of those psychic bonuses to your flamers that are around him. Now this unit is a pretty good unit combination. They're both pretty quick, with both units speed matched at 12 inches, which means this little combination here is going to move around the battlefield pretty quick, put out a lot of guns, and then if you're in close combat requirements, then your Demon Prince can leap out with his talons that I've got equipped on my one, and then wreck face as he gets anywhere near the enemy. And don't forget, flamers also, they are pistol weapons, so that if you are stuck in combat and you're in the shooting phase, you can fire them at point blank range. But realistically, they also have fly, so you're going to try and back away and maybe leave your Demon Prince in their place to do the damage. Two other points before I wrap this video up then is to remember that with your +1 to wound and these auto-hitting lots of dice weapons are really quite good at taking out enemy flyers as well. So a lot of flyers, toughness 6, 7 and 8. With your strength 4, you're going to be wounding on anything from 5s and 6s typically. But if you get flickering flames off, you're going to reduce that by 1. So you could be wounding a lot of vehicles fairly easily, and that's a lot of hits and a lot of damage that you can be causing to enemy flyers. You know, those 9d6 are pretty horrific. And one other final thing is Warp Surge as a stratagem. It is expensive at 2 command points, but you can increase your invulnerable save to 3+ on these flamers. So it's a heavy investment, not something maybe I'd consider. It's going to be very situational whether you want to burn those 2 command points to do it. It's all going to depend on what stage of the game you're at and what you're going to be facing. But a 3+ is immeasurably better than that 4+ invulnerable save to keep these little guys alive a bit longer. What makes the utility of that stratagem that little bit more powerful is you can declare it at the start of any phase. So why not use it in your opponent's phase? If they're going to be targeting it and you're concerned about that 4+ not being enough and it's a critical stage of the game, they're on an objective, or you need them alive for that next turn, then why not pull that stratagem out at that particular point in time? So there we go then, guys. That is in-depth on the Tzeentch Flamers. I'd love to know in the comment section what you think of this particular unit. Do you think they're OP? Do you think they're undervalued, overpointed? Are you using them in your forces? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. But if you enjoyed this series and all of the other content on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, press that bell button for notifications of all the content that I upload. But until then, I shall catch you guys on the next video.